What happened when I got prayed over. So part of my return to being engaged in my faith was starting to attend a charismatic prayer meeting. It's something that Father Bob Bedard referred me to. See, I had an initial conversion in high school, and then I kind of had some wild years. And I want to get back in my faith, so then Father Bob directed me to this charismatic prayer meeting. And as part of that, they would regularly run the Life in the Spirit seminar, where was kind of a short course on the Holy Spirit and on having a relationship with the Lord, but with a real emphasis on being what's called baptized in the Holy Spirit. Remember, it was John the Baptist who said, I'm going to baptize you with water, but someone's going to come who's going to baptize you with fire and the Holy Spirit. And all of us are meant to be set on fire for the Lord. That even though we're baptized as infants and then later confirmed, it's possible for us to not have an enthusiastic faith. It's possible to, despite being sacramentalized, it's possible for us to not be highly engaged in our faith, to be enthusiastic, to be convicted, to be passionate. And we're meant to be. We're meant to live a life of the fire of the Holy Spirit. That doesn't mean that we're, kind of feeling happy all the time. No, we definitely have our ups and downs. But we're generally living a life out of a desire to do God's will and living a life driven from God's grace. Anyway, so we go through the Life in the Spirit seminar. And kind of the highlight of it is the pray over that happens in the fifth week, where you pray for a real stirring up of the Holy Spirit. And you're expecting the Lord to maybe even give you some charisms of the Holy Spirit, like a charism of prophecy or healing, or maybe the gift of tongues. And it's meant to really be a spiritual milestone. And for me, it was probably one of the most uneventful things I ever experienced. It was a big yawn. And frankly, I was partly relieved. I think I was still kind of worried that, that maybe I would just turn into a bit of a religious nutcase. Vanity has always been one of my challenges. And it felt like this Life in the Spirit seminar was kind of like, I was part of saying, okay, this is my full indoctrination into this charismatic renewal, which I was open to because it was the only thing around that was going to help me kind of get engaged in my faith. And my peers were also involved. So I thought this has got to be good. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I was happy about it. So anyway, it was completely uneventful. But then probably within a year or two, I started to really notice a change. Like I had an enthusiasm to evangelize that I hadn't had before. And more than that, I had a courage to evangelize. Like when I eventually got involved at St. Mary's and started a youth group there, youth ministry, there was nothing there when I got there. There was a bit of a ministry for children. But when I think of how I had the courage to call up all these people and invite them to this thing that I was running, I can still remember clearly making those phone calls. And looking back now, I know it was the baptism of the Holy Spirit that made it possible. It gave me that desire to evangelize and gave me a courage to evangelize. And so, yeah, I was a little slow on the uptake, but that pray over of the baptism of the Holy Spirit, I know made all the difference.